Yeah, happy holidays, everyone. We we are only going to have one more meeting this year, December 14th. So please bookmark that event. As usual, the calendar invite and the Zoom link are part of the invite. Add it to yourselves. What we've realized is we are unable to reach the right number of people all the time. So please help us do that. Please forward the event invites to folks. And if you want to present here, this is completely your venue. Please present. You can bring Sandra, Samita, me, anybody, and we can help you start. Besides that, we are also trying to publish monthly, and so we already did one, also two actually. The second one was in November, and the next one's slated for December 15th. Please sign up for it on getreview.co. And we try to also, completely give you a little bit of a worldwide tour on all the things that are happening. And that's probably the best way to keep updated on what's happening in Flyte. It's still early, so we're still improving the content, but we guarantee that the content will just keep on improving. And the cool part about review is that you can always go back and look at all the previous newsletters. Another thing that's coming up on Thursday, 6 a.m. Please let me know if anybody is interested in joining. We are proposing Flyte for graduation in Linux Foundation, the Untitled Chapter, the deck for which is attached to this slide deck, and this slide deck will be shared after the event today. And so as part of the graduation, essentially what that would mean is currently Flyte is a incubating project under LFA and data, and after this it will be a graduated project with proper steering committee and so on, and we also get some funding from the foundation. Oops. Next. So what we realize is that this timing doesn't really work for everybody. It's 9 a.m. PST, and after the daylight saving switch, it's really late for some folks or too early for some folks. So what we are trying to do is we actually had a survey a long time ago, and probably that was not the right time for the survey, but we want to adjust the timings of this meeting as fit for the community. But to start off, instead of adjusting the timings, what we're going to do is Haytham and I will try to man 2 office hours, like 30 minutes on Wednesdays every week. Both of those events are part of this slide deck. So we'll share that, and it'll be 7 to 7:30 a.m. Pacific time, and then 9 to 9:30 p.m. Pacific times. And we are hopeful that this should cover almost all time zones and make it convenient for most folks to at least hop on, talk to Hitham or I and ask any questions. And as we go, one of the principal things that we want to find out from here is what's the right time for most folks. Or we can have even 2, right? We can just repeat this meeting or alternate this meetings in 2 different times, and that's absolutely okay. So Flyte 0.18.2 is around the corner, but it's happening. But already there have been a lot of amazing contributions from folks, and here are some of them. Hopefully, I've not missed out anybody, but thank you for all your contributions. I think the number of contributions is what makes Flyte successful, right? So thank you. Another thing that I don't know if you guys have seen this in Slack, please keep yourself updated on the announcements channel in Slack, if not, or in the general channel. But what we would like to know is, would you like to contribute to Flyte? And if yes, are there any blockers? Please add that to the survey. Tell us how the union team can help you contribute to Flyte better. And also, if there are outreach opportunities, please help us with that. So that'll be fantastic. All right. So what the next bit is what's happening in Flyte this month. So as I said, 18.2 is going to be out. Again, these are not all the features that are launching in 18.2, but these are some of them. Most importantly, a lot of changes in FlightKit. So now you can get started with the FlightKit repo using a cookie cutter template. And this is an extensible module, so you can create your own cookie cutters and you can host them in the same cookie cutter repo. And there's a streamlined interface for actually getting started with that. One of the very highly requested items about adding Flyte files, like schema, enums in data classes is there's a new experimental support for adding shell tasks in FlightKit itself. So let FlightKit manage all the shell operations for you. You can write in more, especially this is extremely useful for bioinformatics use cases. And then a lot of improvements in FlightKit remote. UI improvements continue to happen. I see Jason here. He can probably give a little bit more insight in here, but lots of filtering and searching improvements in the UI, launch form improvements, and lots of more improvements coming this month. One of the bigger backend changes, so Flyte Propeller now can be sharded and it can be scaled based on some different shard strategies. It's still beta, it's not documented, so we understand that you won't be able to implement it, but that's the intention, that we want to get this out. It doesn't break anybody, so everything that anybody that folks are running, any of their configurations should just continue to work. And then it should be a small configuration change to enable a multi-part propeller instance. All right. More on the roadmap and milestone, and we've been trying to brainstorm on how we can make this more easily accessible to everybody within the community. So we've tried different things on GitHub, not been very successful, but GitHub recently released a beta for the GitHub projects, the new projects view. So we've adopted that, and we've actually moved all our issues into the GitHub projects view. And maybe I can give a quick sneak peek on this. So if you go in here, you can see all the issues in here, but you can start splitting them by area and by milestone. So if they're done, what being worked on 0.18.2, what's planned for 0.19, and so on, and actually for UI, if you want specifically, or what's in progress within the milestone, then you can see who's assigned. And if you would like to add certain other things to the milestone, please do that. That really helps us. And we are also planning a docs batch, so you see all the things here. All right. One of the other things that I had mentioned last time is that we are moving to a patch release for every month and a minor release every quarter. And this we want to align with releasing the 1.0 like early next year, probably end of March. Again, 1.0 is not really a reliability or a stability change. 1.0 just here means that we are signaling to everybody that there will be some older deprecated APIs that we have had maybe like more than 3 years ago at least internally that we might not be supporting. But besides that, 1.0 essentially is stabilizing our API and more of a signal that, hey, this is a stable platform. All right, and we are also trying to use a marketing terms for our minor releases. So the 0.19 release is called the Eagle release. All of the last 2 months of work goes into this Eagle release, but just within this month, we are working on cache serialization. That means allow 2 tasks, if they use caching, one of them can actually wait on the other task to populate the cache. This helps you in cost saving, also potentially reduces the pressure on the downstream resources. We have heard a lot of feedback about docs, and we absolutely appreciate the feedback. thank you for still continuing to work with us, and we want to improve those docs. So we are going to do a docs bash this month of December. If any of you would like to contribute to that bash, awesome, will be really helpful. We have about 50 odd docs items that we're trying to tackle, and the dates, we'll talk about the dates in the Slack. So I think it should be like the second last week of December. Lots of visual improvements, specifically, ability to visualize dynamic and arbitrary depth graphs in the UI. This is a huge ask, and we think that it can actually make visualizing dynamic workflows really much better. Another thing is we've heard some feedback about caching non-Flyte objects like pandas data frames or any other exotic objects that people add that do not really, where the cache is not really just the hash of the path, but you may want to hash the entire object itself. And so we are working on that. Intra-task checkpointing. So the intra-task checkpointing backend support is already in the 0.18.2, but we'll be adding more front-end support where you should be able to use checkpointing for your models. What this would mean is if you have failures, any kind of system failures, and you want to continue, let's say you're training a model for many, many days, maybe weeks even, and a machine is lost because you have a recycle policy or whatever, or maybe there was a system failure. You can just resume the training from that point on onto a different machine. This helps us open up Spot instances to almost everybody, which reduces tasks by a ton. Also, community contributions. Thank you for the Latch team to contribute this stuff. Amazing work. They have 2 RFCs in progress, and they have been merged. They're working on documentation extraction from Flyte itself, from your tasks and workflows, which will eventually show up in the UI, and support for union types, which also have some support for optionals. And Road to Phoenix, again, this is just a reminder slide. It is not a breaking change. We do not intend to break anybody. We may have a case where folks might want to have to re-register a workflow, but that might be still very limited. But lots of big features will land, and lots of cleanup, essentially, of some of the craft that we have accumulated across many, many years of iterating on this platform. Yeah, and 2022, we wanted to also set up some goals for 2022. So our goals for 2021 were like, get started with Flyte in less than a minute. And we actually were able to do that earlier in the year. We're still, that doesn't mean we've stopped it. We actually continue improving that goal. So accessibility will always be our top focus. But in 2022, we actually want to bring in a huge focus for performance. We want to support workflows that have runtime of a few seconds. And that will need a huge amount of engineering effort, but that's our goal. Again, exciting work by Merantix Labs, which the talk today, I'm really excited for it. Thank you for Fabio to actually present. The Gojek team has been going awesome, and I think their contributions have been fantastic. We're really proud to be working with them. And Latch Bio team has also been doing fantastic stuff. So thank you for, and besides that, Spotify always remains our partner, and they're working on the Java SDK and many other features. So thank you. All right, so that's it from my end. But we'll talk about today's talk. We have 3 talks. I think I'll hand over to Jason first, who can hand over to Eduardo, and then we'll end up with Fabio's talk.
Before we go on, Ketan, there's a question in the chat.
Oh, sorry.
If you mind to.
Let me check that. Single propeller, what would allow us to have different plugin configs per project? Oh, great question. So, so basically the sharded propeller is essentially what we're trying to do is set up the infrastructure to manage all these sorts of interesting changes in the future. So first thing it will support is 3 different types of shard strategies. One is round robin. So let's say you are not Kubernetes bound. That means you're doing workloads that are outside of Kubernetes, and folks do that. Or else your Kubernetes cluster can scale further than one propeller, which we have not seen. If that is the case, then you can use a round robin strategy, and it also allows you to reduce the total number of workers in one propeller and so on, and it kind of like reduces the memory footprint required per propeller instance. So if you have that sort of stuff, then round robin strategy would be useful. But the second, we are also supporting per namespace sharding and per project sharding. This is not dynamic at the moment. You have to statically configure if you want specific namespaces to go to a propeller and specific other namespaces to go to another propeller, and it supports some wildcards and so on. Same thing, you can also configure propeller to be automatically have a case where each domain can be handled by a separate propeller instance. And you can also do combinations of projects. So that's the initial, but if you can see, each of them can have their own config, and you can vary them. Each of them can have access to their own secrets, and each of them, and that way, I think eventual goal would be that for certain projects, if you need certain secrets, then only those projects will be able to access those secrets, even Flyte backend, which is propeller. So yes, this work will be done, and we love feedback and help in like thinking how you guys would like to use this, Chief. Yep, yeah, but this, the big difference is you can always limit namespace and you can launch multiple propellers, but you'll have to manage those deployments and so on. So what we've created is a centralized, and there is an RSC on this, and you guys should look at it, but a centralized management controller that manages all Flyte propellers automatically. And the goal here is eventually to also support auto scaling, because we have a centralized controller that can know the number of requests, and it can scale based on that. Any other questions? Awesome.